Alright boys, welcome back to another video. Thunder Alley here. Tonight we're going to be reacting to last night's game. I actually went back and watched it just to get a better understanding of it, and my thoughts and opinions definitely have changed. I think at first I was a little bit disappointed that the Chargers got off to that big lead. I mean, we're talking about them being up 27 to 6 points. The Bengals, of course, they made a late push. They had a couple of chances, they missed some kicks, but the Chargers, they stayed resilient and they found a way to get a win. And you got to give a lot of credit to Justin Herbert, one of his better games of the year, probably his best game of the season, if I'm being honest. 17 of 36, 297 yards, 2 touchdowns, 8.3 average, very good. And with his legs, 65 yards. This looked a lot like that Herbert game against the Steelers a couple of seasons ago in primetime. I mean, he was terrific in this one. Lad McConkey, 6 for 123. I remember coming into the season, I told Bolts fans that he would end up being the wide receiver one. I don't even think it's really close. I mean, I think Palmer and Johnson are good players, but McConkey, he's just a different type of talent. I thought he should have been a first-round pick, of course, out of Georgia. And then Will Disley, all of a sudden, the past month, has established himself as a big-time weapon for Herbert. 4 for 80 and a touchdown, of course, beginning of the game. I mean, he had that 29-yard catch, which was great, just down the seam. J.K. Dobbins had a really underrated game. 11 for 56 on the ground, which is 5.1 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. Had a couple of nice runs. That 29-yard one, none bigger than that, though. Biggest play of the Bolts, without question, of the season. Dobbins as well, out of the backfield, did have a catch for 3 yards, but we did get to see Gus Edwards go 6 for 27, so 4.5 yards per carry against a team like the Bengals, who was 4-6 coming into this. But I mean, they're definitely the best 4-6 team you'll see. Legitimately top 5 offense, defense not great, but they gave the Chargers all they could handle. The Bengals are never out of a game. The Bengals made adjustments and they started to get more sticky in coverage. And the Chargers, legitimately, part of me feels like they shouldn't have won this game just because they were not able to execute down the stretch. They were giving up points. They weren't able to score 3-and-outs. It was bad too because they end up getting the ball after a missed field goal. They go 3-and-out, and then they give the Bengals the ball back, but then they get a quick stop of their own 3-and-out, and then they get the ball. And we saw, of course, McConkey with a couple of big catches, and then ultimately that led to the Dobbins catch. So if the Chargers can continue this, they're going to be able to make a lot of noise in the AFC because they've got McConkey, they've got Dobbins. Quentin Johnson has been catching a touchdown a game, it seems like. He's already got way more touchdowns this year than his rookie year. And then you've got some dynamic playmakers in Josh Palmer, Darius Davis, and, of course, Will Disley. Gus Edwards came back last week, his second good game in a row. The offensive line is going to be the thing. The tackle positions, I feel pretty confident in, but it's the interior, of course. How is that going to be able to hold up as the season progresses? So we'll have to wait and see. But from an offensive standpoint, you score 34 points, can't complain at all. A lot of analysts who were picking between the two teams did not think the Chargers were going to be able to put up this many points, and they definitely proved them wrong. Defensively, the Chargers, they gave up 27. I don't think we gave up that many points the entire season. Yeah, we didn't even give up really anything close to that. The most we had given up was 20 points to the Pittsburgh Steelers, which was actually September 22nd. So we're talking about that being 2 months ago, just about. So good job by the D. I expected the Bengals to put up points, maybe not 27 necessarily, but of course the first half you hold them to 6 and then you give up 21 in the second half. Some adjustments had to be made. I think the biggest thing was just double teaming T and double teaming Chase. And it worked for a while until it didn't. And ultimately, we saw Chase be able to get open. Same thing with T. Burrow did a good job of maneuvering the pocket. The pass rush was great. Just Burrow was better. That's why I say great offense is going to beat great defense. But I guess for the sake of the Chargers in this one, great defense did beat great offense because when the game was down to the wire, when it was on the line, the defense for the Chargers was able to make those plays. So good job to them with Tui Tuipulotu, of course, Joey Boza. We also saw Bud Dupree, Derwin James. Give credit as well to the young secondary of the Chargers with both Cam Hart, 5th-round pick, and you've got to give credit to Tarheeb Steele for coming out there and balling out. Desir Taylor had a lot of one-on-one assignments as well. Elijah Molden, Christian Fulton. These guys were asked to step up against some really good receivers for the Bengals. It's not just Chase and Higgins. Of course, you've got to go up against their rookie, Jermaine Burton, who was very, very good in college last season. Yosibas is pretty damn good. They've got some tight ends. So this was definitely an encouraging win. It's one of those games where if you blow out the Bengals and make a statement, it's even better. But just winning it was huge. You're now 7-3, 4-1 at home. The next game for the Bolts is going to be against the Baltimore Ravens, which is a week from now on Monday Night Football. You might be watching this on Tuesday. Atlanta, who seems a lot easier than before. The Falcons, you go back to 2 weeks ago, they were 6-3, they were rolling, but now they've dropped 2 in a row. They're gonna be on their bye week, so there's that. That's a huge benefit to them, of course, playing the Chargers, having that extra rest. The Chargers had their bye, so I guess it evens out. But the Chiefs, Week 14, Tampa Bay, Denver, New England, Las Vegas. You want to get that one because you have to imagine that the Chargers, they're going to lose maybe a game or two the rest of the year. If they lose two more games the rest of the year, I mean, we'd be talking about them going what 12-5. I mean, that would be unbelievably good considering this team wasn't expected to do too much. I think a lot of us thought the Chargers would compete for a playoff spot, but to be 7-3 to have a chance at the Chiefs for the division now is remarkable. If we can beat them in Arrowhead Week 14, that's basically 2 wins. Give them an L, give us a win. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But the biggest thing is just improving every single week. I feel like the Chargers have done that. Their offense has gotten better and better. You date back to the Cardinals game, Herbert throws for 349, but we aren't able to score touchdowns. The Saints game, Browns, Titans, we score 26 or more, and then the Bengals 34. That's going to have to continue against the Ravens. They're coming off a loss to the Steelers, and the Ravens, they can't afford to keep losing because they are 7-4. They fall to 7-5. Well, the Broncos, the Ravens beat the Broncos, so they would still have the tiebreaker on them, so they would stay the 6th seed. But they can't afford to be dropping any more games, especially because the Ravens have to play the Steelers one more time this season, and I bet you they have at least 1 or 2 more tough games in there. So they've got us, and then they've got the Ravens one more time. Yeah, they've got the Texans. So they've got legitimately 3 more highly difficult games. Taking on the Browns is far from easy. They've also got the Eagles who are 8-2. I keep forgetting the Eagles are having a really good season. So yeah, the Ravens can't afford to be losing anymore. So they're going to come to play. And for the Bolts, we know they're certainly going to come to play. That's going to be a fun one, man. Things only get more difficult for the Chargers. Beat the Bengals. Now you've got the Ravens, Falcons, and then you've got the Chiefs, Broncos looming on that Week 16 game. It's going to be a lot of fun. But I think the biggest thing for the Chargers is the fact that they're able to beat the teams they're supposed to, even though the Bengals are not the same as a team like who's an example, like the New Orleans Saints. Wait, don't they have the same record? Yeah, the Saints are 4-7 as well. We know the Saints aren't the Bengals. I mean, maybe they are because they did get off to a good start. But the Chargers they've already shown that their floor is really high by being 8-3, beating up on the teams they're supposed to beat. And they've also hung in there with the Steelers and the Chiefs. And that was Herbert when he had a high ankle sprain. Now he's fully healthy, and we're starting to see the passing attack really get going. The ground attack is benefiting off of the passing attack as well because now teams have to guess exactly what the Chargers are going to do. But this defense is going to be able to help them beat anyone. But their biggest test is against the Ravens. The Bengals have a top 5 offense. The Ravens, I would say outside of the Lions, are probably the second best offense in football. So, yeah, it's your boy Thunder Alley. I'm out. Peace.
Hey guys, let's go. That was a signature win right there. Yeah.